So the Rebbe said the Maamar was a really, I remember the Spilus was unbelievable. When we heard the Maamar, it was on Shabbos, and then by Chazara that night, because it was literally like things that you didn't usually hear. You're not going to find many Maamar Chassidus that talk about this. I'll go into that a little more in a moment. Okay, so the Chazara was very exciting. I remember when we wrote the Maamar up, I was working with Rabbi Yael and some of the other Chazim, and there was a lot of points that were not so clear, because again, since you didn't have many Maimorim on the topic, there was nowhere really to look. So we wrote up a few questions to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe answered them actually in the next Fabrengen. The next Fabrengen was Shabbos Parshas Yisrei, Yud Shevat. And the Rebbe answered, so often the Rebbe would sometimes answer in B'ksav. Here the Rebbe answered, there's a whole sikh in Shabbos Parshas Yisrei, the end of the Fabrengen. The Rebbe said, some questions were asked to me, and the Rebbe goes into whole arichis, which the anochas, of course, exist of these Fabrengens. But an interesting thing is that Rebbe one more time spoke about it. 2 weeks later, Yisrei, Mishpotim Trumat, 3 weeks later, Parshat Tetzaveh, Shabbos Parshat Tetzaveh, which again was a rare thing, that the Rebbe should continue talking about a theme that went back almost a month earlier. Shabbos Parshat Tetzaveh, the Rebbe said that I was asked more questions. These questions were actually from Ha'aras Hatmimim in Morristown. I think it was Melech Tzvibel, the Mashpia there, Olav Hashalom, that wrote the questions. And the Rebbe went further and continued to explain it. So if you really want to get the whole sugya of Tzimtzumim before the Tzimtzum edition, there's the Maamar Bosi Legani, Tavshin Memhei, of course, Shabbos Parshat Yisrei, and then Shabbos Parshat Tetzaveh. So it was a real koch. What was unique also, you have to keep in mind, that in those years, the Rebbe didn't usually speak at length Haskalah and Chassidus. The Haskalah and Chassidus you saw more in the earlier years. Not that the Rebbe never spoke about it. Of course, there were many Fabrengens, and many times the Rebbe spoke, not always beferish, but the language of Tzimtzum and Tzimtzumim Lifnei Tzimtzum Arishan, and the language of Yecheles, Atzmus, and Moyer, and Oyer, was the Rebbe was like really quite rare for Tavshim Memhei to hear the Zesius. So it was a very, added a lot of chayas and a lot of islavus, because when you hear the Rebbe speak that way, in a way it's lost with like a Mayanam is Gaber in Chassidus, it was quite powerful. And again, it was in Yonim that you don't usually hear about. So and most of it is not Mugeh. I think later one of the Mugudik Maimorim, it seichens some of these. There's a summary of the Nekudis in Ha'ara. I don't remember which Maimar it is, one of the Mugudik Maimorim. Maybe it'll come to me. But regardless, most of the sichas here, the Rebbe was not Magia. I think I gave in one of the sichas, I think Yisrei, for the Rebbe to Magia, but he didn't end up being edited. So I want to talk about it a bit more, but first I wanted to give the background. Now another interesting thing is that the Rebbe continued the theme as well in the two Maimorim that came afterwards. Tu B'Shvat was Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim the Maimar, and the Rebbe continued speaking about Tzimtzumim before the Tzimtzum Arishan, a Hemshech to Bosi Legani, and then again Vayishma Yisrei, Shabbos Parshat Yisrei, besides the Sikha I mentioned, and the Maimar the Rebbe also spoke. So you have a pretty big picture here with a lot of with Hemshech Hadvarim. Interesting, just to point out as well, interesting thing then was also Shabbos Parshat Yisrei, the Rebbe started the Fabrengen, that this is a Chazakah, this is the third Fabrengen coming from the Hilula of Yud Shevat. The Fabrengen, of course, Shabbos Parshat B'Shalach was L'mochras, was the day after Yud Shevat, Tu B'Shvat, Chomish Osa B'Shvat, I should say, and the third is Parshat Yisrei. And the Rebbe asked an interesting question, Shabbos Parshat Yisrei. He says, what's the Negeya that's a Chazakah? Mashiach is about to come, and we're going to have all the Rabbeim with us. So why is it so important to know there's a Chazakah of 3 Fabrengens after Yud Shevat? And the Rebbe answered that even after Mashiach comes, we're still going to need Avedus Hashem. So even if the Rabbeim are with us, we're still going to need Avedus. So the Chazakah, Tosa Zima have a Chazakah, only adds Chizuk in the Aveda of the Balei Lula. Interesting Nekuda that the Rebbe spoke about in Shabbos Parshat Yisrei.